So I mentioned on the other video, just reintroducing what's currently around. This Mini, I acquired it because I think the previous owners have just had enough. They've spent plenty. They've got receipts for spark plugs and filters and oil and loads of stuff going on it. They got to a point where the engine was overheating, massively overheating. They took it to their reputed garage, and they said that basically they suspected it was the head gasket. I did ask and said, I'm just checking, just curious, is that actually the case? Is it definitely the head gasket? And I don't think it is. I'll show you why I don't think it is in a minute, and I'll show you what I think it might be. It could be that this could be a £15 solution for the overheating. If someone tells you it's a head gasket blown, definitely check this and change it for 15 quid if that's the thing. The part needs replacing anyway, so I'm kind of a bit of a loss if I don't, not at a loss if I don't sort it. Then the other thing that this car's got, the lights on for the ABS and traction control, which I think we've nailed that down to the ECU, the ABS ECU. So I'm going to try and get that sorted and fixed as well. Got another one coming in that might need coding in. But I'm going to try this £15 fix. If it does solve the overheating, I've got a compression testing kit as well to make sure any overheating hasn't knackered the engine. If it passes those two tests, then this will go back on the road. If not, and the engine's shagged or the £15 fix isn't it, it might be that this is just going to get scrapped and just stripped apart. So let's have a look and show you what we got. So first things to note, the engine's done around 115, I think, 1,000 miles. So it's not a huge mileage car, especially for a 2002. But what I'd noted when we were diddling around, my dad came round, I noted that there was loads of water coming out of here, which I couldn't make much sense of, because wherever I've seen the reservoirs on the other stuff, like the Jags and Land Rovers, that's all pressure sealed. So that's not got pressure ability to it at all. You basically, there's no way water's going to get stopped from coming out of there. So I was confused. When we got up to temperature, the water just kept pouring out of here, which didn't make sense. I filled it back up to the max with just water now for this test. The other thing I noted is that when I took the oil cap off, you can see the oil cap is clean. Like you normally get like that cloudy, milky thing, and the oil looks like chocolate. And it's similar around on the dipstick. The oil on the dipstick is, you know, just looks like fresh oil. Doesn't look like there's anything wrong with that at all. So I don't think it's got a head gasket problem, but we'll see. So when I was looking at this water coming out of here, I thought it's got to hold its pressure somewhere. And then I noticed that the cap, obviously the cap's off. I noticed the cap, and I said to my dad, I said, that doesn't make any sense. Obviously there's the pipe that goes up to the header, so it's got to hold its pressure here somewhere. Anyway, I could stay at that. There's a rubber seal that was still inside here when I took it to pieces, and it just doesn't look straight. That's it. It doesn't look straight. So it's got to be that. Looked a February Bilstein one off of Amazon, 15 quid. And there you go. Very, very different. So I said to my dad, that's got to be holding the pressure on. It looks like that when it gets very, very, very hot, it will push the spring. It closes that cap, or opens the cap up to then send it back up into here. But with that having no resistance and the seal being completely knackered, it seemed like it's probably pushing all the water up here no matter what, as soon as it got to quite hot. So new one's installed right now. We'll give it a start and see if it actually holds up. Okay, you'll be good. Oh, look at that blur. Blurry. I was already in a Oasis fan myself. Right. Not in gear. There you go, what have we got? All service 15,000, 116,598. On the button. As I've said earlier, it's a traction control light on, ABS lights on. I've got a nice CR Pro tool now, which is new to me, and I was able to scan codes on here, and I found the ABS one, which is the 5F D5, I think it is, which means that it says it's got an internal problem, but I'll do another video on that. Right, so coolant's there. I shall pause it for a minute and wait for it to get up to temperature. So it looks to me like that should have done it. The engine fan is running. The needle's staying at halfway. My only thing is that the engine fan is still running for quite a while after it's started. But the temperature needle is the one, and there's no leak. No water is leaking out of the engine at all. So that's all good. I hope that will do. My next job on the coolant system will be to drain it, drop it all out. I won't show you that. It's just quite straightforward on this car, I think. Drop the bottom hose and away you go. I'll report back if this doesn't fix it, but at the moment I think we can say that after 15 quid, it can't be the head gasket, it's running all right, we're good. I am going to do a compression test. I'll do a separate video for that one, because the compression test proves that the engine's launched itself. It might be because of the overheating, but I'll do a compression test and I'll show that on a separate video. Right, so as you can imagine, almost as soon as I turned the last video off, the temperature gauge was sitting right bang on the middle for ages. The fan had kicked in, so the fan was working. It stayed at that temperature, so I thought all groovy. Pretty much turned the video off, gave it a couple of revs, and then the temperature just started to increase quite quickly to the top. Good news is, what was happening before, the coolant was all pissing out everywhere and making a mess. That's now stopped, so that's part one. But the next thing is it's still overheating. So I still don't think we've got a coolant leak or any kind of head gasket problem. Just as a hunch, obviously I'm not trained in this stuff, but that's my hunch, my theory, is that it's the thermostat. And the reason for that is when it had got like really hot, I turned it off, plugged the diagnostic machine in, and I've got no error codes at all, other than the ABS, which we know about. There's no other error codes on the machine. Now, from what I can see, the thermostat isn't electronically controlled or anything. It's just like a valve, effectively a valve with a spring on it. So it's just a mechanical spring. So even if it was faulty, there's a problem with it, it wouldn't give you an error code because it's not plugged into anything. There is the temperature sender. That could be another one that I've seen is quite common to go on these. But again, if that was faulty, I would imagine there'll be a fault code that had been recorded for that as well. Haven't seen one of them. So what I'm next going to do is I'm going to change the thermostat, because again it's only a £17 part, and see if that cures the problems, stops me overheating. I'll just spin it around and show you what I'm going to do. So I won't spend too much time taking this apart and showing you how to do it, because I think there's a few videos on this. It's quite straightforward stuff. I'll show you when I've got this part taken to pieces. The rubber comes off. There is normally a bracket that goes over here, but when I bought this car, the bracket wasn't there. I did find these two screws or bolts that hold the bracket on, and they were tucked in there. Look, you can see the little rusty bits where they've been in there for quite a long time by the looks of it. So that needs to come out. When you take the battery out, obviously you just take the terminals off. When you take the terminals off, underneath there you've got a few bolts just to remove that. You've got your ECU there, which is just a couple of plugs to take off, and then the air filter. I believe that the thermostat is just straight underneath here where the water goes in, but I'll report back when I've taken it out if there's any issues. Okay, so I've took the thermostat out. Just a couple of things that I've done here. Well, I haven't reconnected that properly. I didn't need to take the full ECU out. I started to take that plug off, as you can see. That's it, just clip back in again. I started to take the plug off, and then the whole ECU just came out, no problem. So you just get it out to one side, means the battery tray can come out. I've also got some bits of sawdust, which doesn't seem the normal sort of thing to be finding in here. But at the bottom of the battery tray was a piece of wood. So I don't know whether someone's put the wrong size battery in or for some other reason that's in there. Also, when it came to taking the airbox out, I didn't take the whole lot out, just because you've got little brittle bits here, because the car's now sort of, what, 23 years old. I don't want to sort of disturb some of these things too much, because you start messing with some things, you get loads of little broken bits, and you can guarantee the one I'll break will be the one that you can't get, because they always break and then they're gone missing. So just enough to move that away was enough to get the screw out. There's a screw or a bolt sort of just under there. All three of the bolts are All 3 bolts are the same. There are 2 that are this end that are easy to access with the battery tray out of the way, and the third one's a bit more tricky with a decent extension. That is enough room to get in there. Thermostat itself, thankfully, I mean, for the video's perspective, it came out. See, I didn't even take a photo of it, so I didn't take a video of it. I took a photo to make sure I know which way around it goes. I think it was that way. Anyway, I don't know. I think you just drop it in hot water to see if it will actually, or boiling water to see if it actually opens or not. But it doesn't look new. If someone's been in here to try and change this before, I would imagine that this would look a lot newer than it does. So fingers crossed. That is the component that is broken. I'm waiting for it to arrive, so that will go on that will go in when I get my new one. That should be it for now. Well, that doesn't look so good. I'll rise it into the dishwasher. I'll put on a pan of boiled thermostat, and until you can make it out in the video. No, it's closing now. Anyway, it was opening. Whether it's opening at the right temperature and whether it's opening enough or not, I don't know. But it might not be the thermostat, which is another red scratcher. More pain. Right. I'm not sure which order I'm doing what bits in here. I'm just taking this into recorded loads of bits of video, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to collate them all or keep them separate. I'm on with the Mini's coolant system, and I'm trying to figure out, from an overheating perspective, what it might be. So I'm going for the basic and the freebie stuff first. Well, not first. I've done the thermostat, I've done the radiator or the coolant filling cap first, and it's still overheating, and then I realised there was quite a complicated bleeding process to go through. So I'm now going to do that bleeding process and show you through it. I'll probably include it on the whole video, but possibly this will be separate because there's a lot of different communication about there. There's a few different videos, and some of them say there's this many bleed screws and some say there's not. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. I'm using the Bangers and Cash video as well that I'd watched to see if I can find a way to do it, and I'll share it with you and let you know if I get any problems. So first of all, what I've done is, well, these bits have already been taken apart to get to it, so you don't need to do this for this particular thing. There is one screw down there, you can see that one. Screwdriver. You see it's quite clear there. I've just loosened that off a crack to make sure there's enough to get the coolant out of it. That is the feed into the cabin for the heater matrix. So I assume that's why it's a complicated process, because you've got to put the fans on, you've got to do everything else to try and get all the water through the system without any air. The second bleed valve is here, and the third one is it's tucked under there, but you can make it out. I've got the socket on it. I don't know if you can. Oh, so you can see it's just tucked in there. Hang on. There you go. You see it? Just hide it in there. Now, the fact that that's not a screw and it's a little bolt makes me wonder whether that's actually required or not, but someone said it is, so I'm going to use that anyway. The first thing I have done before I got onto this, I can't see it very well, is to take the coolant out. I didn't manage to catch it all. I dropped most of it, to be fair, which was lucky because not a lot came out. So I think, oh, there we go, just loosening that off. I think that there's definitely a distinct lack of coolant in this engine. Whether that's the cause of my current overheating or not, whether it's the water pump, that's the next thing we're going after, will be the water pump. So the bottom hose is on this side of the engine on this car. I haven't got an air conditioning, right, I haven't got any air conditioning in this car. So the bottom coolant hose is down there. Can't really see it. I'll just pop that off there, and that's quite rusted. Doesn't look like it's been off many times in its life either. Then the filler neck. So what I understand now is that the bleed screws are open. It's now just a case of putting the bottom hose back on, and then I'll come back to you. So I've already got that wrong. I've got my list this time printed on a piece of paper because my other list's on my phone. Drain it do the bleed valves, did that bit. Then it said the ignition goes on first, then you put the fans on low, then you put the heat on high, before you put the bottom hose back on. Don't know why, maybe it just pushes a bit more out, who knows. That's been done. Now it's just a case of refilling it. So, all I'm going to do with this one is to just fill it up with water, just regular water, until we reach the top here. And this is max. This has confused me. Now obviously I've taken the bottom hose off. The bottle still says, or does it say max? Or is that now just a bit too brown? It's still got water in it. It's not, oh no, it is on max. It's showing max. So I'm thinking, when I'm testing this out, that it's full, because that says max. That's what I've always believed, but it's not. So I'm gonna now fill it up and see how we go on. So, what happened here is I put the water in, so just cold water to see if this tests. If it is the water pump, then I don't want to just waste coolant, so I've decided just to put plain water in. Obviously the best of all worlds here is that I actually just figure out that it isn't the water pump, and I can just drain the coolant and fill it up again. So from here, the first screw that went and let some air out was this one. Well, we had air coming out, and then we had a stream of water, and that one was coming out quite well. You obviously can see the height difference between here and there. So I tightened that one off, and then over this side, this one didn't flow quite as freely. So I tightened the other one up first, and then came back to this one and tightened this one after. Nothing came out of the little screw hole or the little bolt hole here. So again, whether that's a red herring or not, I don't know, but I've done it. So now I'm going to put that back on, just check that level, certainly around max, give it a start and see what happens. Other points to note that I didn't do, that I will do if I put actual coolant in, or when I put actual coolant in. I did jack the front of the car up to get access to the bottom hose, but now the car's obviously sitting back down front higher. That doesn't help get all the coolant out, so if you're flushing the coolant out, don't do that. Get the hose off, and if you can, try and lift the back end up and drop a bit of coolant out, is the recommendation. Next up, what we're doing is, I went to make a cup of coffee, or to brew the cafetiere, and while doing the cafetiere, I let it get to temperature. Temperature we're currently at, yes, more lights, and more lights. Minus some fuel as well. So we're currently sitting around the middle, and the last time I sort of was doing some testing, I thought we're about right then, because that's the operating temperature of where I would expect it to be. But then it started to slowly increase before it decided to go on a rapid ascent towards the red. So just give it more revs and see if I can get this needle to move at all. I've not yet heard the coolant fan kick in, which I know is another common thing on these, that the coolant fan likes to break, or the resistor, I think it is on it, likes to break. This fan does work. I have heard the fan going, but I haven't heard it on this particular round of testing. So yeah, I'll just cycle this through and see if I can get this needle to move. If the needle does not move, then it looks like we're problem solved, but I'll report back. Okay, so it looks to me as though that bleeding process has done wonders. I can't see now that there's a problem with it. I've got it up to temperature, left it for definitely a lot longer than I did before. I'm going to do it a bit longer again, once I put some fresh coolant in it itself, and see. But I think realistically, I think at the start I was thinking, am I going to create this amazing video which is suspected head gasket fixed for 15 quid? But I actually think that that's what it is. So if you have been told it could be suspected head gasket or something, it's not that complicated a job to go through and check. Definitely that cap. You can see if the cap's broken, and the thermostat is a bit of a faff to get it out. But if you get it out and you can test the thermostat, you won't even have to buy a new one. Beyond that, the water pump and the compression testing should be, quite a thorough bit of testing there to just prove that there's not a head gasket fault on this one. So I'll wrap that one up. I think I'm probably going to split into two. We'll have one video just for the bleeding, because that is a complicated process, but it seems to have done the job. And then the other one is just trying to diagnose the faults and just talking you through all the different bits and pieces. So this might be on the end of two videos.